An early Merry Christmas to you all, to all the viewers and subscribers to this channel. I know you don't hear from me very frequently anymore, and that's because I've been working sometimes 16-hour days as I hold down a job and then also try to start a business. So I like having two full-time jobs. The more that I work, the better, as long as my body doesn't break down. I certainly miss you all. I miss hanging out with you all. It's just not a convenient time right now in my life to be doing a lot of activity on this channel, which I started and which I had hoped I'd be able to do more videos for. But in the meantime, I'm going to be trying to at least have sporadically some videos on this channel. You can pray that my schedule eases up as the business prospers, Lord willing. As the business prospers, I'll be able to have more time to make videos. Today, I'm reporting not on any apologetics or evidence and reasons, but I'm reporting on a court case that is a ruling on a court case that is related to my situation at McLean Bible Church, where I've been threatened with arrest and jail if I ever return to the property. The reason this court case is relevant to me, and by the way, I'm neither a plaintiff nor a defendant in this court case, but the reason this is relevant to me is I feel that the present leadership, it's doubtful whether the present leadership has been duly elected, and therefore it's doubtful that they're legitimate, and therefore it's doubtful that they had the right or the privilege to actually threaten me with jail and arrest. And so this court case is this court case, and then the latest ruling related to a series of cases actually, and it's very complicated, and I'm not going to try to untangle it all today. It's related to the legitimacy of the present leadership, namely Wade Burnett and David Platt and the elder board in McLean Bible Church. So one thing, just to maybe update, just to catch up a little bit, let me show something here. I got in big trouble for making this graph, or one that's pretty much equivalent to this, but this is the most up-to-date. It shows the history of the church attendance at McLean Bible from the start to the present, and the associated leadership. And I hope just a little scrutiny of the graph will show that the Southern Baptist Church involvement in the takeover of McLean Bible has been absolutely disastrous. And David Platt, under his watch, the church attendance, the brick and mortar church attendance has utterly collapsed. This is like the atomic bomb there. Just is pictured there is kind of my satire of what basically they have done to the church. Although he will, from the pulpit, he tends to try to scapegoat the problems on certain members of the church, and to me it's rather obvious. There's a strong correlation with his leadership, his management, and that of Wade Burnett with the rapid decline, the carnage in church attendance that took almost 60 years to build. It didn't take long once they came to power to make a wreck of things as far as church attendance goes. I've also raised issues how they can be reporting year-over-year revenues that are actually increasing in the face of this. So how is it that people are donating, are enthusiastic to donate so much money to a church that is mismanaged and dying? That's my feeling anyway. And for whatever reason, I have been threatened with jail and arrest because of graphs like this. Maybe they don't quite like my sense of humor, but I don't think that justifies me being threatened with jail and arrest for expressing some satire about how I feel about the current leadership. I am part of the congregation. I have the right to vote and say, I don't think you guys should be in management. There's absolutely nothing wrong in a church like this with a constitution that gives voters a right to say, hey, we don't like the way you're running the church. Are we not free as members of the church to express dissent and to convey that to other members that the present leadership is doing a terrible job? I mean, this is evidence of it right there. So that being said, there are court cases before the Fairfax County system, and there are actually at least 3 right now, and there have been motions being filed, and so that are related to those cases. And so I'm just going to cover that. There's been a legal victory that is favorable to my situation, and the court fights are by no means over, but this is an important first round victory. So let me just read what Capstone has had to say about this. Capstone says, David Platt, McLean Bible Church, lose first round in court case. And this is just December 4th. Breaking, lawsuit against David Platt, McLean Bible Church allowed to move forward. Judge dismisses claim by David Platt and McLean Bible Church is trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. Judge says, despite Christianized language, the issue is not ecclesiastical or theological, but whether or not shenanigans took place in church election. Church members applaud ruling as a step in the process to restore free and fair elections to McLean Bible Church. In a lawsuit let me try to make this a little bigger. In a lawsuit to defend the voting rights of members of McLean Bible Church, the dissident conservative members won a victory before a Fairfax Circuit Court judge Friday, December 3rd, 2021. McLean Bible Church filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit by claiming the dispute involved religious issues. Judge Thomas P. Mann rejected McLean's arguments and denied the motion in a bench ruling. I considered writing an opinion, but given what has been presented, I don't find the issue to be novel or groundbreaking, Judge Mann said. The motion to dismiss is denied. While the defendants do scatter terms such as theology, prayerfulness, doctrine, specific books of the Bible, and interpretation of the scripture throughout its papers to put really what is a round dispute over the church constitution and adherence to that constitution into a square hole of the First Amendment. That is really what is happening here with this motion. Really, per the complaint, the issue here is whether the procedural requirements of the church's constitution were followed or whether there were shenanigans in order to produce a pretextual result. The lawsuit against McLean Bible Church was filed after a contentious election dispute at McLean Bible Church. The 5 McLean Bible Church members who filed suit claimed that David Platt, the McLean Board of Elders, and McLean Bible Church illegally removed church members just prior to the vote in an effort to predetermine the outcome of elder elections. The Capstone Report interviewed some of the members who found themselves removed prior to the critical elder vote. Also at dispute in this case was the move to end the secret ballot in McLean Bible Church elections. Some church members claimed that at the time, and the lawsuit alleges, that this was a move to intimidate some staff members to vote the way the leaders wanted or face retaliation. These claims, as the judge noted, these are claims, as the judge noted, that are not theological or doctrinal, but squarely in the realm of process, a process guaranteed in the contract of McLean Bible Church in the contract of the McLean Bible Church Constitution. The plaintiffs were pleased with the ruling. We are pleased that the court is allowing this case to move forward. Defendants have repeatedly violated MBC's Constitution and trampled on the rights of their membership to have an honest vote to choose their leaders. Lead attorney for the plaintiffs, Rick Boyer, said in a statement to the press, "We are pleased that the court saw through the transparent efforts of defendants to use Christianized language to cloak their most unchristian efforts to prevent a free and fair vote under the MBC Constitution." One plaintiff celebrated the win as a victory in the fight to restore free and fair elections. We, as members of McLean Bible Church, are grateful for the court's ruling today, said Plaintiff Steve Gaskins. The fight to restore free and fair elections for all members of MBC will move forward. Today is a victory for truth and transparency. Another plaintiff said the ruling is about restoring the rule of law. We thank God for today's victory, said Plaintiff Roland Smith. Today's ruling is a critical first step in restoring the rule of law and ensuring that critical voting rights protected by our church constitution will be preserved for all McLean Bible Church members. Next up, more pretrial hearings and discovery. The lawsuit can move forward with the court applying neutral principles of law to dispute over McLean Bible Church's constitution. Next up, additional pretrial hearings on December 17, 2021. Also, plaintiffs have made discovery requests. As we've noted in other reports, discovery is the thing that scares the big evangelical leadership the most. They attempt to avoid this at all costs. In fact, elites fear discovery so much that they have in the past filed false motions with the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and even misled the Supreme Court. Once discovery begins, we will enter perhaps most interesting phase of the case. What did David Platt know, and when did he know it? What are the connections between the North American Mission Board and McLean Bible leaders? If David Platt was upset in July, just wait for the next couple months. Justice is often tardy, but justice surely always arrives. So that was the Capstone Report. Now, let me point you to the McLean Bible Church.org website. So if you go to savemcleanbible.org, it'll hyperlink to savemcleanbible.wordpress.com. Don't be alarmed by that. There are links from that page to the Facebook page. And if you click there, you go to the Facebook page. By the way, these links are in the video description, so don't worry, you can find them there. But you'll find there this post that is from the law firm representing the plaintiffs. And the plaintiffs are friends of Sal, so to speak, in the sense that they're my friends in that even though I'm not a plaintiff and I don't currently have any lawsuits in process, just put it that way, as of now, against David Platt. Some of my friends they're friends in the sense that they're defending what I feel are the interests of people like myself. So, just let me frame it that way. So I'm just going to read again, and this has a lot of the content in the Capstone Report from that law firm. Press release from Fairchild and Yoder, PLLC, et cetera, and the identifying information. That's in case you wish to I presume they put all that in case there are any media inquiries. So Fairfax, Virginia. Today, the Fairfax Circuit Court gave an opening round victory to plaintiffs suing McLean Bible Church for alleged illegal denial of voting rights to church members. Steve Gaskins and 4 other plaintiffs, all current and or former members of McLean Bible Church, MBC, filed suit in July alleging Pastor David Platt and the Board of Elders of McLean Bible Church were illegally removing members from church membership rolls in an effort to predetermine the outcome of elder elections at MBC. Defendants include the church, Platt, and the other 6 members of the Board of Elders, the governing body of MBC. Plaintiffs noted that the MBC Constitution grants voting privileges at church business meetings to all active members over 16 years old. Plaintiffs also allege that after losing a June vote on their chosen candidates for elder, defendants ended a decade-long practice of secret ballots for elder elections, forcing members to place their names on the ballots in order to vote, in an effort to intimidate members who worked on church staff into voting for candidate leadership. Candidates' leadership supported. Defendants filed a motion to dismiss the case, arguing that the First Amendment bars courts from considering church disputes. Judge Thomas P. Mann today denied the motion to dismiss. Judge Mann ruled that the plaintiffs had pleaded facts sufficient to state a case that defendants denied voting rights to members in violation of the MBC Constitution. The court held that accordingly, plaintiffs had pleaded a valid case for breach of contract and that disputes for violations of church constitution can be adjudicated under neutral principles of law without reference to religious or doctrinal issues protected by the First Amendment. The matter now proceeds to the defendant's demurrer hearing on December 17th in Fairfax Circuit Court. Plaintiffs have also submitted discovery requests to defendants pursuant to the rules of the Supreme Court of Virginia. Rick Boyer, lead attorney for plaintiffs, reacted to the court's ruling. We are pleased the court is allowing this case to move forward. Defendants have repeatedly violated MBC's constitution and trampled on the rights of their membership to have an honest vote to choose their leaders. We are pleased that the court saw through the transparent efforts of the defendants to use Christianized language to cloak their most unchristian efforts to prevent a free and fair vote under the MBC Constitution. Plaintiff Steve Gaskin says, we as members of McLean Bible Church are grateful for the court's ruling today. The fight to restore free and fair elections for all members of MBC will move forward. Today is a victory for truth and transparency. Plaintiff Roland Smith said, we thank God for today's victory. Today's ruling is a critical first step in restoring the rule of law and ensuring the critical voting rights protected by our church constitution will be preserved for all McLean Bible Church members. Now, part of the reason I read all this is because this is obviously a sensitive phase. I'm trying to limit how much commentary I make, because this is, even though I'm not a plaintiff nor defendant in this, this is, given that the church is, that David Platt has trespassed me, threatened me with jail and arrest if I go back to the church at this time. There is some sensitivity in what I say that may or may not have an impact on the case before the court. So it's just better that I not comment too much. I have already commented at the opening of this, but these are already comments pretty much that I've already said in the past. So I'm not releasing anything new. I will point out again that, let me just show this. And I present this to the fans of David Platt and any of the elder board and David Platt or Wade Burnett, if you're watching this. What do you have to say about how you run the church? That graph tells a lot. Do you feel that you are competent in what was built? Do you think you're sustaining it? Is this evidence that you should remain as elders? I mean, this is a disaster. And so why take it out on members that are like myself, that are voting against what you're doing? Do we have not the right? I mean, are you guys blind? I mean, are you so infallible that every decision you make can't be questioned and called into account and to be criticized? Are you above that? I mean, why are you asking to have private meetings with me? You should have a meeting with me before the entire congregation if you have an issue with me. You can come on my channel and talk about and defend your record. No more of this private stuff where you are apparently not protecting me, but it seems like you're trying to protect yourselves from embarrassment, because this graph should be an embarrassment to leaders of the church that are talking about changing Washington, D.C. when you can't even, or changing the world when you can't even change your own church for the better. So, I mean, that's how I feel. And is that grounds for me to be threatened with arrest and jail for pointing out that I think you're incompetent? I mean, how do you justify this, what's happening here, when churches in the nearby area are breaking records for attendance, partly because they left McLean and are going to those churches, and after the pandemic, those churches are growing? Why aren't the numbers in McLean breaking records at this point? If the mission was to transform Washington, D.C. and the rest of the world, and you can't even manage your own household, what does that say about the current leadership? Maybe there should be some self-reflection whether you guys should still be trying to run church and trying to, tell the congregation to go out there and evangelize and change the world. And you can't even change McLean Bible Church for the better. I mean, what do you guys have to say for that? Why do you want to have a private meeting with me to discuss this? Shouldn't you discuss this with the whole congregation? I mean, it seems to me you want a private meeting not to protect me, or that it's a sensitive issue regarding me. It seems to me you want private meetings to protect yourselves, because I would confront you with this publicly. I mean, this does not reflect well on you gentlemen. So, I mean, if you're wondering why some people don't want to vote for you, there it is right there. I mean, is this speaking well of how you've shepherded the flock? You've practically driven 80% of the flock out of the church, starting with Dale Sutherland. Okay, so I mean, if you want to have a church trial to expel me from the church, that is partly my defense. What have I done wrong by criticizing you guys? All your actions are in public. There's no, I mean, a lot of your actions are in public that have caused this disaster. They're right here. Excuse me, right here. This isn't a matter of private, a private meeting. It's right there. Do you want to have this presented before the whole congregation and be called into account? Why don't you put this graph or something like it minus the satire, of course, if you like, in the next congregational meeting? Why don't you put that in the budget? And so when Chairman of the board, Larry Cooper, says, I'm energized and excited about where we are and where we're going, why don't you show this? And see how the congregation reacts to what he has to say versus the facts. So anyway, I'd like to thank everyone who's watched this. And that's all for today. Take care and Merry Christmas.